Hey Conley, Coach Kilcrease here. First off, I just want to thank you for coming out to camp. Had a really good time working with you. Hope you was able to learn some things from the coaching staff there. Hope you had a good summer. Hope school's going well for you. This is going to be a video analysis. The first thing I like to do when evaluating a swing is I want to make sure we've got a good base set up first, okay? Make sure everything looks good before we start our swing, okay? The first thing I want you to point out, okay, I want a little more bend in our knees here. Make sure we're in a good athletic position. And let's make sure that our hands, okay, get our hands a little higher and make sure those knuckles are lined up, okay? Pinky knuckle, your right pinky knuckle, the middle knuckle on it, okay, line it up with your left pointer finger, middle knuckle, okay? That way that the hands are in a good position there before we start our swing, okay? Just a little something I can pick up on from here. The next thing I want to look at, okay, is I want to make sure we have a good load. All right. First thing I want to make sure is when we take our stride step that our weight stays on our back foot. So we're just picking this front foot up here and putting it down and not transferring any of our weight to that foot. Okay. The next thing I want to point out is make sure this barrel doesn't wrap around our head because it's going to cause our path to the ball to be long and loopy. Okay. We want to be short to that ball and long through it. So the way we do that is we allow our hands to be in a good position as we start our swing. Okay. So let's check out your load here. Okay, the barrel wraps around your head as that foot's landing. We've already started with our hands, okay? What I want you to point out here, when that foot lands, the first thing that starts our swing is this back hip right here. So we fire this hip, and it gets to a position about right here, okay? And that allows our hands to slide down into this position here, which allows us to attack that ball the way we want to. All right? But what happens here is your hands are starting to swing. So now this hip is completely opened up, but your hands are way back here. Whereas if this front hip just starts your swing, then our hands fire to that position and everything's on time. Okay, and that's because the barrel's behind your head right here. All right. So if we can get that barrel to be in this position right here when we start, then our hands just kind of slide down into that hitting slot, a good hitting slot. Okay. Next thing I want to point out is when we go to attack the ball, okay? So we're ready to attack the ball. This foot should still be on the ground here. That back heel should still be on the ground in this position. And there's two paths that I normally see taken to the ball, okay? One of them is the one we want, okay, which is A. Okay, so there's three steps right here. We got A, B, and C, okay? The quickest way to get from A to C is going to be a straight line, which would be a short path to the ball. What we see a lot of is people go from A down to B and then to C, okay, which causes our path to the ball to be at an upward angle, where we want to hit down through that ball and then allow that barrel to flatten out through the zone. Okay, so I'm going to play you through here, and we're going to see where your barrel ends up. Okay, now you see the path the ball took here, okay? The ball's going straight down. It's because the barrel comes down here, okay? So the barrel's traveling down this path right here, and we get here, and then we're swinging up at the ball. But what happens is when we swing up at it, our timing's off, and now we hit the top of the ball. That's why we don't want to swing up at the ball, because you have to be perfectly timed to make solid contact with that ball. All right? Whereas if you swing down and through that ball, that barrel flattens out through the zone, now you're hitting the center of the ball, creating backspin. That's the position we want to be in. Okay? Now I'm going to point out some things you're doing a good job with here. Let me get you to contact. Okay? So we've got a good stiff front side here. You can't really see your entire front leg, so maybe we should spread our stance out a little bit at the start, or when we take our stride. Okay, let's make sure that that there's a separation in our legs there. You don't want to be too on top of the ball. Okay, this L right here you have in your backside. Okay, that's where we want that. Now, if you were a little further apart, this knee would be further down. Okay, maybe not as far as I just drew the arrow, but you want that L to be as defined as possible. So in order to do that, we have to you can't start pivoting on that foot too soon because then you lose your power and it causes that L not to be as defined. Okay? Now, one thing I want you to look at here was your hands, okay? So we got right palm pointing to the sky, left palm pointing down. Okay, that's that position we want our hands to be in. Now we just got to get that barrel flat through the zone. Okay, and as you can tell with your follow through here, it takes the same path that the barrel does to the ball. Okay, so you're taking an upward swing to the ball, and then that follow through goes up. You can tell by your follow through that the swing was going up because that's how the barrel comes up after you make contact. Okay. So Conley, it's Coach Kilcrease. Okay, main thing I want you to work on is I want to make sure your hands get in a good position. Okay. Make sure we start our swing with our back hip and not with our hands. Okay, that's going to allow us to be in a better position as we go to make contact with the ball. All right. Conley, it's Coach Kilcrease again. Thanks a lot for coming out to camp. Had a really good time working with you. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.